Hey guys, welcome back to the Roman Rodez YouTube channel. Here's another little medley for you.
Today we're going to be talking about Ozone, won't you come to me?
Ozone.
Protect me from the sun and other bad things.
So we got some good news, I guess, right?
Great
the world's
news,
not ending yet.
Yet, and not only that, taking a step back, as a matter of fact, you may or may not recall early 2000s, late 90s to mid 90s.
I feel like we've been talking about this for a long time, the whole ozone.
But they kind of dropped off for a bit. But a big deal when we were growing up in school was ozone layer was being depleted, eating away. Basically, ozone layer is a protective layer of gases wrapped around the Earth and the top of the atmosphere that protects us from the sun's rays, particularly UV rays that you hear about sunscreen protecting you from and sunglasses. Because they could do damage to your DNA.
Basically giving you skin cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be the big one. But other types of cancers too, and it's a bad thing to have too much of. And what happened was a lot of the chemicals that we used in different aerosol cans, and I believe a lot of early refrigerators had a type of mercury in there that was in its gas form, would eat away at the chemical, and basically it would they'd collect in the air, and it would start, dissolving the ozone, and it especially focused at this giant hole at the top of the Antarctica, like in the North Pole.
So basically, just the shield of the atmosphere was being eaten away, right? So, but it was a hole.
They had scans that could bounce off the different layers of gas, and it was a pretty good-sized hole. Now it would shift all the time, but it was usually pretty big. So they started putting laws into effect so that you couldn't use those chemicals that were eating away at the atmosphere, and you had to start over time. The industry swapped them out with different things. It wasn't all overnight. It wasn't even overall over time. Yeah. And what happened was people were monitoring the ozone, and it didn't seem like it was changing that much. It would change a little bit every year, but we didn't have the data.
Significant amounts, right? I mean,
exactly.
And a lot of people couldn't see any change.
People were even starting to suggest that the whole thing was a hoax, and maybe it was done so that way it would lay the groundwork for future greenhouse gas emission protocols and stuff, to see if basically they could change the law by making these science and stuff.
So kind of like a preventable thing.
Exactly.
Like there's no problem right now, but there may be a problem in the future, kind of thing. That's what people were thinking.
No, basically, they thought people were just trying to manipulate the government. Seems like they're saying we'll test it out with this stuff, and then if it works with the ozone, then we'll work with methane and the carbon, and that's what seems like they were talking about. But they decided to do a study over 10 years. They went to the Arctic and they measured the amount of, they couldn't, I think they had trouble tracking the actual chemicals, the CFCs, I believe they were called.
CFCs.
Chlorofluorocarbons. And those were what grabbed onto the ozone, and they would degrade it, create chemicals that were bad. And that was kind of hard to track. But they found that, I think it was a type of nitrogen oxide.
Yeah.
And that would also travel with the CFC chemicals. So they tracked those, and they were able to, find out these actually are traveling with the CFCs by doing these measurements. And they found that yes, it does change a lot year to year, but overall the degradation, basically the rotting away of the ozone, had slowed down, had stopped, and that it was slowly but surely coming back. Now there'd be times when it would lose itself, but it is healing little by little.
That's kind of interesting to think that the world could, something like the atmosphere. Because I figured, as a kid, I remember hearing about CFCs are damaging the ozone layer. It's a big hole in the sky, kind of thing. That was irreversible. But if we're cutting down on pollution, we're cutting down on the use of the CFCs. There's the bad stuff that's going into the atmosphere, but the atmosphere itself can just kind of slowly start putting itself together. That's really interesting. And so, but this was done over a span of 10 years, you said, right?
Decades, man.
Okay.
One decade.
1 day.
Decade and 1 year, about a year and a half.
Okay, so are the scientists saying, hey, the future looks bright, that this thing can eventually get repaired enough to be
not only that, the hope is that basically we could reverse other types of damage we've done to the planet, such as the ozone is a little bit different from the type of gas just hanging around in it, so the one that we don't want is carbon dioxide. We don't want that one, the bad one. That holds in heat. It holds heat in too much. Monoxide. We don't want too much of that carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. We don't want any of the carbons in too high amounts up there.
You need that right balance. You need that right mixture.
Even nitrogen, methanes, all these other gases, you want just enough in there that it keeps us warm, but not so much that it suffocates us. So the idea is lately they've been talking a lot about on the news about there's just too much in the air. It's changing the weather too fast, and while no one thing happening can be directly affecting climate change in general, it does seem that the general pattern of extreme weather could be relatable to all the stuff we put in the air. It doesn't affect any one thing; it affects the pattern.
Yeah.
But the hope is that this was only been around for maybe 20 years that we've really been getting at it, and the research had only been done about 10 years. So the hope is that by the changes that we've made have already started to heal the planet. Hopefully that despite the fact that we're seeing a lot of variability and extremes in the weather, extreme droughts, extreme rains, floods, freezings, heats, fires, and all other kinds of things connected to the weather, that hopefully we're already trying to heal it. And maybe these are hopefully just like death trimmers of the old system, maybe, of the last bit of effect of this is what we did to the planet and we're reaping a bit of it. But hopefully it's already on its way to healing.
That'd be a historical thing, so I think,
Well, the fact that there'd be history after it.
That's what makes it historic.
We still have
history.
There's
going to be people in the future saying, hey, you remember when the ozone was messed up? We fixed it.
Remember when you guys almost killed everything? Thanks for not doing that thing.
So it'd be interesting to keep following up on these. As I get older, think about,
You're going to have to, because it's all around us. Yeah. I don't know, one of the big deals with the ozone melting was it created, I forget the name of the chemical, but basically it was causing acid rain. There was too much of this chemical in the air, it would gather up, get into clouds.
Was it chlorine or something?
It was a type of chlorine, but it mixed together with the water that created a type of acid, I believe. And on top of damaging your skin, being bad to breathe in, it was damaging. I know there's statues in certain cities that were real big. They would show pictures of what it looked like before acid rain and after acid rain. And there's a ton of sci-fi movies throughout, and sci-fi shows too, throughout the 90s that had acid rain as a main character. They had acid rain the way we have Sharknadoes.
I just remember the episode of The Simpsons when Homer's gets fired from work or something. He's walking out and he's like, oh, the acid rain's coming, and starts melting away his clothes and everything. That
was pretty good. But they do a ton of... There's an episode in Outer Limits where there's acid rain coming down real bad. A few of the big sci-fi movies at the time. Escape from L.A., right? Escape from L.A. Yeah. There were surfers and they were like, oh yeah, that acid rain burned me up, man. It was just a quick throwaway line, but that was on people's minds. Acid rain. It's bad. Yeah. But yeah, we'll keep you all updated, and we're glad that you joined us today. Hopefully we lightened your day up a bit. Things are getting better. You can fix the world around you. The very planet which we live upon.
And if you guys hear any other stories about this, if you have any thoughts, questions, put them down in the comments section below. Please like our video if you like it. Subscribe to our channel if you want to see more content. We're coming out with a lot more new videos pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Where can we find them?
Where can they find us? You can find them on YouTube and Facebook for the videos. Also, we're on SoundCloud. Probably check out Instagram. There's something else we're missing. You should look forward to Twitter.
Search the Roman Rodez Podcast or Roman Rodez.
Much obliged.
Thanks for watching.
But mostly much obliged.